So let's jump right into our first message. And it says, I'm a 40-year-old woman who has been divorced for the past 6 years. I've recently met a 46-year-old widower whom I know loves me to bits, but I feel no drop of affection for him, mostly because of his level of exposure. It's too low, and so is his level of education. The truth, however, is that he's a great person, understanding, generous, very patient, above all, God-fearing. I have told him how I am not attracted to him, but he strongly believes that the feeling will change. But it's been a year already. I'm just about pursuing my master's, and I'm afraid he might feel intimidated at a certain point in time, even though he claims it will not be a problem. He promises to up his game on education, but I feel it might be a dead end because it had never been a consideration before now, so he might just be saying that to get my attention. In summary, a part of me wants to ignore everything and say yes to his good side, but the other part of me is afraid that I might meet a good brain, which is my greatest weakness, and wish that I had wanted. Please help me. I had waited, yes. Please help me, Jess. What should I do? And that's our first message for today. Demi, let's go for it.
Come to me first.
Yeah, why not?
This is an interesting one. So I always like to start with the numbers, data first. So she's 40, right? Been divorced for 6 years. Met a 46-year-old man,
right,
who has all the checklists, at least, that most people look for generally, but she's not feeling it.
Yeah, he hasn't. Okay. His level of education is also low.
Low, and she's not attracted to him. All right, honey. Well, darling, at 40, most people know what they want in a man, especially if you've been divorced. You know what did not work for you with, Mr. Previous. So at least at this point, you really need to know. And a lot of the time, marriage is a serious commitment. So if you're not feeling it, then perhaps it's time to just say, I'm sorry, but this is not it. Because before you go into it, you need to be absolutely sure this is not a joke. That's one side. The other side of things is that I'm sorry, but what she's looking at is quite frivolous, to a certain extent. Attraction is important, certainly. You have to be attracted to your partner because intimacy and sex and all of those things are really important in a relationship. But if she's talking about his level of education, meanwhile, he's a good person. He treats her well. He's God-fearing. He does everything. I'm assuming he's gainfully employed. And all of those things, and you can tell he loves marriage, loves a good commitment. He was married before, and unfortunately his wife died. So certainly if he has all these good qualities that are difficult to fix, versus education, which is not entirely too difficult to fix. And if the person is a good person, really, we were not called to be married to people who are equally educated with us, and level of exposure, I'm not sure what she means or what that looks like. Does that mean she'll be embarrassed to see him in public?
Maybe how they say like ninimbie
kind of levels.
Yeah.
Well,
so she just might be embarrassed by a few things.
How the person treats you, really. If at home you're well treated, you're happy, you're content, then really what other people think of your spouse is really, really their problem. Because some people have grown up in very lovely homes and both parents did not have a lick of education. They managed to take care of their children and impart into them good moral values at the end of the day, and managed, if they did not have the opportunity, they may have been able to grant their children the opportunity of an education. Right. So it may very well have been the fact that he did not have the opportunity. His parents may not have had the opportunity financially. Many different reasons are there for why a person may not be as educated as we might think he or she should be. So she really needs to carefully consider, and if all these things are a no for her, then well, you just have to let him go. He might find somebody who is willing. I know a professor that I had once. She was a PhD, a professor, and her husband worked in construction.
Okay.
Not that he owned a construction company. He was one of the people lifting the mortar and the bricks.
Right.
And they had a good working relationship, a good loving relationship, and were able to build a home.
Great.
So it really, really depends. There are many families where the woman may be a primary earner. The woman may be able to go, to school, go out, go travel, all of these things. And if it's about traveling, you can travel with him. Yeah, certainly. If he may not have been to places where you would want to be, you can go there with that person. If it's a nice restaurant, you can go there with them. If he's open, willing to learn, and all of these things. Sometimes, just by virtue of the fact that where a person may have been born, he wasn't afforded some of these things.
Yeah.
So, sometimes it's by grace that we've had some of these opportunities where he may not have had some of these options that she's saying. Perhaps she's now going to do her master's, she says. Somebody may not have had that chance to even finish standard 6. Their father may have died early. They had to stop school, take care of their siblings. All kinds of things could have been the reason why. So really, if he's a good person, don't shy away from a great marriage and a great relationship because of some of these things that can be fixed.
Right.
That's what I'll say.
Okay, great one there. Rosina, let me come to you.
Demi.
Oh, you can disagree.
No, of course. I mean, I agree with her to an extent. I mean, the beginning, because if you've been there, done it before, I think at 40 you should know what you want.
True.
So there shouldn't be any ambiguity as to the kind of person that you want, because you've been there. I mean, you probably want to fix things or, get something that you probably be happier with. I don't think you want to be a second-time divorcee. You wouldn't want to put that on your record intentionally. So I'm thinking that she knows what she wants. And when it comes to attraction, like Demi said, it's very important because, Charlie, at some point, even when the guy is messing up, something has to just keep you glued. At that time when he's holding you, you don't want to cringe and you don't have to think like, no, okay, he's my husband. Let me do this before you actually do something. It has to come naturally. So the attraction is okay. I mean, it's important. No, it's not okay. It's very, very important. But when it comes to the education bit, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. Now, there's nothing wrong with someone doing masters, probably hooking up with a man who's probably just left middle school or class 6 even. It's okay, it's not a problem. The question is how mentally strong they are to handle a woman who is higher in education than they are. So there are some people, in fact, they can even per school, papa, she's always schooling, and they're actually happy about it. They actually show you off and everything. They can even openly say, as for me, that kind of brain, I don't have it. Me, what I want is to make money, stuff like that. Somebody like that is definitely not intimidated by your education. So when you're with somebody like that, yes, he may not be educated. In the beginning, it's a bit funny, but as time goes on, when you realize that this is someone who is not intimidated by your level of education, because trust me, your PhD doesn't guarantee you success in life.
No.
True.
You understand? So if the other things that you see in the man that kind of like makes you feel like, this is my partner that I want to be with, it comes natural. You don't have to think about it. My problem is that after a whole year, you are still thinking about it. That means it's a problem to you.
Big problem.
Now, that problem is either that you yourself, you can't shake it off. You are worried about when you finally tell your parents that, I'm getting married again. Oh, what does he do? You are worried about the answer to that question. Like, what does he do? Oh, he's but he's about to. He will be due at 46. You know what I'm trying to say? So maybe she's scared of those questions that she needs to answer. She's probably scared of maybe her social her social circles, the kind of people typically they hook up with. So she's afraid of, whilst they are talking about uni and PhD outside, going outside for masters, going for 2-year experiences here, being offered jobs here and there after winning so many scholarships, and she cannot boast of same for her husband. So maybe she's putting this thing on herself, or it could be that the guy passes off comments that makes her feel like he isn't really comfortable with all that education, but he doesn't want to stop her because he's admitted that she's someone who was already going up that ladder before you guys started, hanging out. So he can't really say stop, he probably feels intimidated, or maybe that when anytime there's a conversation and they are discussing things, his inputs, the way he inputs, they're more like, okay, man, you are the university people, school for so you carry on since you guys know, and so maybe there are hints of that. It's not one size fits all. My take is that, look, if the guy is confident in his skin and is making good money that can take care of the home, coupled with the fact that he's somebody of good character and loves you wonderfully, like beautifully. This would be an answered prayer to a lot of women. I think that don't worry yourself. Look, after some time, nobody's going to ask about education and everything. Charlie, yeah. And you too, if this is something that is a deal breaker, because we're all very different. We all have what makes us feel accomplished. I mean, you walk into a background, you want to be able to say, my husband is this or my wife is that. It's just something, I don't know. So if you feel like this is not it, you've already wasted 365 or 366 days already. So don't waste any more. So the decision really is yours. And I won't be able to tell you categorically that it is not for you or it is for you. But I think that you need to analyze it properly, where you stand, where he stands, and then see whether you guys can actually work it out. But if there's no middle ground, you guys, it's like anytime people ask you what he does, you cringe, then I think that you need to kind of like just take a step back and be honest with yourself. Because if you go in and this same thing bites you, I don't think you'd forgive yourself. Then you start to see yourself like a failure, which is not good.
All right, good one there, Rosina. So, Olivia, what do you think about, everything? Does education carry that much weight, or should it carry that much weight, in this lady's opinion?
Yes and no, depending on where everybody's heart is at. To somebody who is extremely in love, education will mean absolutely nothing to the person. If they love you for free, irrespective of whether you have a degree or you don't have a degree, you have a master's or you don't have a master's. They just love you just for who you are. So everybody is different, and what excites everybody is different. So in her case, I think what jumps up at me is the fact that she said, she categorically told him, I am not attracted to you. And he said, I strongly believe that can change. And she's like, okay, she's giving it a year, and she's still not attracted to him. So the question is, my dear, why are you still in a relationship with the guy? Can you just, however you want to look at it, like I say it time and time again, you break his heart. Sooner or later, you will break his heart. It's been a year. You've told yourself, or you've given yourself a chance to change, a chance to feel attracted to him. It's not by force, though. You don't tell your heart who to choose, who to love. It has to be, it's either that it's there or it's not. And in this case, I don't think it's there. So I don't see why you should be beating about the bush and trying to make it work. I've heard stories, 1,000,001 stories, like I was saying in the beginning. You can find a woman who's got her master's, just like Demi said, got the master's, she's working, she's very, in a working society, she's got it all figured out. She wakes up one morning and she's in love with the construction worker, the guy who is like down and dirty, or, but it's easy. They make it work because the foundation of the relationship is there, is solid. There's some kind of attraction there going on. You start getting attracted to the person, you start noticing them, you start loving them irrespective of what class they are in. Because that is love. That is true love. True love doesn't judge. It doesn't care about anything. It just loves the person for who they are. And in your case, I don't think that's happening. And even if through some weird way or something happens and then you actually decide to marry this guy, my dear, sometimes when you're so in love in the beginning of a relationship, you get married and reality sets in. You start cooking for your husband, and then his belly starts coming out, and you have a couple of kids here and there. So it doesn't always, marriages, long-lasting relationships don't always thrive on attraction. the thing is, what you could do is try and at least look presentable for your partner. But if in this case, there's nothing that attracts you to him today, I don't see how you wake up tomorrow morning and it will change. It hasn't changed. It's been over 6 months. People have babies in a year. It's been a year. People have babies in a year. If your feelings will change, it will change. So I don't think you should be encouraging him. I don't think it's fair on him. And I also don't think it's fair on you. And I feel like you also said something that really got my attention. You said that you mentioned something about the fact that you were scared that you would actually meet somebody who's got who's brainy, somebody who is intelligent, who sort of ticks your box in that way. You're a kind of woman who, you get tickled by intelligent men. I'm sure it's not even necessarily even about what they look like, but the fact that they can tickle you intellectually is what gets to you or what excites you. And I can't even begin to imagine the kind of conversations you have with this guy. And half the time he's talking and you're probably looking at him thinking, this guy, Charlie, what he's saying is over the bow some way. So it's a non-starter. You don't like it. There are no gray areas. You've been there, done that. Like the sisters have said. You've been there and done that. So by now you should know exactly what you want, and you know in your heart that this guy is not what you want. But the fact that nobody is coming doesn't mean that you should settle for less, because what's going to happen is that you're going to break his heart. You're going to even bring other people into the equation and mess things up. So now that you can do it, and now that he's not extremely deep, he's deep in the relationship, whatever it is that you guys are calling it. But I just feel like the sooner the better, because then it will not be fair on him. So, sweetheart, please, break this man's heart as soon as possible, but be gentle about it. Just tell him in a nice way that, Charlie, it's been over a year. You're really trying so hard to love him, but Charlie, the love is really not coming. But, you guys can be friends. But even the friend thing, it's not advisable for the guy, because he's seeing you in a different element. And you are not. So, Johnny Manninko, like I always say.
I like that. And indeed, there are lots of people who are sapiosexual, right? Attracted to, or should I say, sexually. What's the word? But basically, they're sexually attracted to people who have high intellect.
Intelligent.
Right, intelligent people. There are lots of people like that.
There are many people.
Yes,
and
I'm just trying to say that if she is indeed one,
yes,
right, this is definitely not for her, and she'll be very unhappy if she goes into the relationship.
But how long can she keep talking about spatial physics and all kinds of...
Well, I mean, she's 40. At this age, she
does not
should know.
equal intelligence.
Yes.
No, it's the same like literacy.
True.
The fact that you don't speak English does not mean that you're not literate.
True. But from where it's subjective.
So it is very subjective.
So maybe in her mind, in fact, so it is what it is.
Very well be very intelligent. Just that it has not had formal education.
Yeah, if it's a serious thing, don't go there.
She shouldn't. That's what I think that's what we're all saying.
Right.
She should just consider.
Yeah.
Kofi has a message here. Says, after 40 years of your life, you haven't found this good brain, yet you're here doing too known. Well. Moses says, we here. You will soon hit 50. Still looking for your expectation. Haruna says, the issue here is to consider should be love and not social status. Clearly, you don't have love for him, and that's okay too. Don't settle on hopes and determinations. Let him go. You'll certainly meet the person you will love for who he is and not what he isn't. Muhammad says, so because you want to get your master's, you think you're the smartest woman on the block, eh? Wisdom and intelligence are not determined by the certificate you have. If you don't want him, just tell him and move on. You won't get everything 100%. Your so-called leveled up educated man you dream of will have his flaws as well. Mami Efo says, Auntie, it's better to be attracted to someone before you decide to journey with them. If you aren't attracted, don't force it. It comes naturally. Tell him no. Go do your masters. You can't force attraction. Without it, the relationship is meaningless. Chris says, let him go. He will find someone who will be attracted to his low level of education. You'll surely also find someone who's at your level. Lisa says, you're a very superficial woman for thinking you're above anyone just because you have a master's degree. If you have a man who loves and supports you, is patient and giving, and is all you need, let's put this into perspective. I mean, you're 40 and getting on in age. If you don't give this relationship and love a chance to grow, you will be a lonely old woman. Learn, grow, set goals with your man together. That way you have something to look forward to. I wish you the best of luck. Queen says, a woman of 40 years and still standing on education level as a priority? Come on and go ahead to marry your master's certificate. Even ladies of 30 to 35 are holding PhD, but they can't bluff like you are doing now. Know that this certificate will not even escort you to the grave. Even some women who are medical doctors are begging to marry a commercial bus driver. Why? Be there. Harsh. Elvis says, your argument really points to the fact that you are not interested in this affair. And to me, your no to this relationship is 80% and your yes is 20%. And you should stick to that unless you start reversing the odds. And finally, Kojo says, go and marry University of Ghana Chancellor or Harvard University founder. Siasem. Oh. See, it's her choice, right? I don't think people should be mad. You might disagree with her choice, but it is what it is. And, you know, there are people who just put more weight on, you know, certain things, and I think they're allowed to do that. It's Sister on City TV and City FM. We'll go for our first break. We'll be right back.